the roulette wheel and thus can be built by gems only for free-to-play players changes each season. It predictably goes from infantry to cavalry to archer and then back again to infantry. But let's talk about the strategic considerations of each of these options in turn and then wrap it all up discussing how to apply it to your account specifically. Now the first option is that you can use them on the current roulette wheel hero, but I would generally try to avoid doing this as it is typically a suboptimal choice. The reason for this is that you can get hero shards for this hero much cheaper from gems spent on the roulette wheel than by converting those rare orange shards, even when accounting for the probability of a bad wheel spin. And of course, it's also significantly easier to earn gems than orange hero shards. In fact, the only case I can see for using your Mythic General Hero shards on a roulette wheel hero is if you reach the end of the season and are a couple shards short of the next star level. So maybe you were only 3 or 4 shards away from the 100 shards it takes to get to hero to 4 star and thus skill level 5. In that case, it might just be better to spend a couple of orange shards in order to unlock the value of the other 90 plus shards just sitting there. Otherwise, there are very few situations in which this would be a good return. The next option is to use those orange shards on a hero type that was on the wheel last season. In theory, this gives you 2 hero generations before the next wheel hero of the same type before you would naturally replace that hero. At the same time, it means you are likely replacing the wheel hero from the previous season you just built. To some extent, this is a sunk cost bias. That is, the shards or gems that you already spent on the prior hero are consumed either way. However, it also means that you are only upgrading the hero 1 generation from your next best, which means you are likely adding less incremental value to your account and will need a bigger investment in the new hero to replace the old one. So for example, upgrading from Zoe to Eric as your main infantry is not as big of a deal in your account progression as upgrading from Zoe to Alcar. And this brings us to the third option, which is using them on a hero type that will be on the wheel next season. If you are a low spender or a free-to-play player, then it is very likely this means you will jump forward 2 generations of the hero type, which is a big account improvement. So if we follow that Zoe to Alcar example, you can see a massive jump in stats. However, in a few months when the next season rolls around, Longfei comes along with even better stats. So before we even get into anything like specific hero abilities, we can reduce this choice to getting a big jump in account progression for a hero that you will use for 1 season, or a smaller incremental bonus to account progression that you will use for 2 hero generations. And one choice isn't necessarily better than the other. Now when we layer abilities into the mix, there are 2 major considerations. First is their expedition abilities, and second is the widgets. Notice I didn't mention any of the combo settings. Those are nice to have for a hero. The way that the game typically rewards value for investment in heroes is about 80% in expedition mode and only 20% in arena and conquest, possibly even less. So hero investment choices should generally be made based on expedition abilities. For the individual expedition abilities, I won't go into too much depth here since that is partly what the hero review series covers, but generally it is the same handful of abilities that get cycled between heroes until about generation 4. And that is when some unique abilities start to arrive on the scene. And Alcar is again a great example of this since he does some pretty unique things with infantry's capacity to deal damage. So from generation 4 onward, you should be on the lookout for unique skills or combinations that might carve out a special role for that hero. This would mean the value of that hero might persist longer than simply being replaced by the next hero with bigger stats. For widget abilities, I already have a video on how they work in detail linked below in the description. But the highly simplified version that matters here is understanding that some of the expedition widget abilities only work on offense, while some other ones only work on defense. This means that an off-wheel hero might have a different use case than the wheel hero it immediately precedes or follows. For example, Marlin is the Generation 2 hero that follows Saul on the Generation 1 roulette wheel. However, Marlin's widget is offensive, while Saul's is actually defensive in nature. This means that one doesn't directly replace the other for certain situations, and indeed there is room for both in different formation types. But now going back to that Alcar example, he is a defensive hero. Generation 2 infantry hero Zoe, Generation 3 infantry hero Eric, and the Generation 5 infantry hero Longfei. This makes the investment case for him a little bit more challenging due to the overlap of these roles. So basically, whoever you're choosing, anytime you can potentially invest your orange shards in a hero, there are going to be trade-offs associated with it. And that brings us to that final option we discussed, waiting until the next season. If you look hard enough, you'll always find a reason why you should not invest in a hero and you should wait until next season. At the same time, orange shards represent limitless possibilities. They have option value. Meanwhile, heroes are a depreciating asset. And to understand that concept more, check out that theory crafting video linked below in the description. Paradoxically, if you never spend your orange shards and they just sit in your account bag forever, they have precisely zero value. So this means there is a cost to waiting for the next generation, since you are missing out on a way to apply stored value to your account. And this very tension gets into the heart of selecting which hero to build if you are a low spender. As soon as you build a hero, the clock starts ticking on how long they will be useful before they are replaced or become obsolete. But if you never actually build a hero with those orange shards, then there's no point in having them to begin with. So whenever a player asks me, should I use my orange shards on this hero? My response is essentially trying to weigh all of these factors we've discussed together. And since it's impossible for me to help the hundreds of thousands of channel viewers with individualized advice, here is a framework you can use. But first, a special thank you to my Sloth Squad channel members whose continued support helps make these guides possible. Also thanks to the Play Smarter community who have just made a new way for serious spenders to invest smarter and support my channel by leveraging your in-game spend with creator code SLOTH. If you want a trustworthy, concierge-like approach to spending that follows you from game to game, check out the link below in the description for details. So the first question in our decision-making framework is, will this new hero represent a meaningful upgrade to my account? This can be due to a significant stat jump from your hero with the same type and similar abilities, or it can be a hero that brings something unique to carve out a situational use, like unique abilities or widget type. Assuming there is some benefit you can point to, we don't want to leave it in a vacuum. Instead, we need to tie it to a way that you can use this benefit to increase the resource generating capacity of your account. Since you are turning an indefinite store of value into a depreciating asset, it's important that you can pinpoint how it will increase the tempo of your account to make up for this loss of potential. This takes into account your playstyle as well. If you aren't frequently leading defensive rallies, then getting a hero for their defensive widget might not be as meaningful to you. But if your town is at a high risk of being attacked, or you tend to garrison captain and castle battle turrets or swordland, then this raises the value significantly. Now, assuming that there is indeed a clear benefit, we need to consider the time before the hero becomes obsolete. If you're in a newer kingdom, then you can just look ahead generations in my hero review series. If not, you sort of have to make an educated guess. And a quick warning, don't simply look at whiteout survival, since Kingshot has scrambled some of their abilities, especially widget abilities. So it is not an infallible source of truth. In any case, we can reasonably predict which hero type will be on the roulette wheel, which helps us understand the expected shelf life in the event the next wheel hero is a straight upgrade. It's also important to note that we aren't looking for perfect longevity. And again, if you look hard enough, you'll find a reason to talk yourself out of it. So you should check if it is just a general or vague uncertainty holding you back, or if there is something that you can point to that shows you won't have enough time to capture the benefit before the hero becomes obsolete. Remember, there is a cost to your account progression to doing nothing and waiting too long. And if this feels like you, then just invest in the hero. Don't let decision-making paralysis stop you from advancing. And while we're at it, this is just a game after all. I'm providing a decision-making framework to help you make more optimized investment choices, but sometimes this game is just about building cool stuff and having fun. So if this hero brings you joy and you really want to build them, even if it defies all logic, then just go ahead and do it and enjoy your game. Sometimes maximizing fun isn't the same as optimizing your gameplay perfectly. So I hope this framework helps you decide which heroes to build. Feel free to leave a comment below about any decisions you made or are making right now so that we can all help each other. Also be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified of the latest Kingshot tips and strategies. I'm planning to continue making videos of my most frequent viewer questions just like this one, so check out this new playlist as well. You're not alone. Thanks again for watching. and happy gaming out there.